Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 Howl. We're on that tier list wave. I'm going to endure a Herculean task and rank a bunch of Coyotes players over the past decade. We'll start with goalies, then next video defensemen. Then I broke up the forwards. I had to. It would have been like 50 forwards I had to deal with or list. But we'll do centers and wingers. The past decade is inclusive of the 2013-2014 season, and that's about 10 seasons up until the end of the season that just ended a couple months ago. So it's just after that conference final run, a year after that. Not a lot of goalies. I think I have 12 here, and we'll go in chronological order. For goalies, this is pretty easy, but as we get to defensemen and forwards, might not be perfect. So we'll start. Just going to rank them. If I have something to say about the player, I will. If not, just move past them. So we'll start with Mike Smith, chronological order. We're going to put him in the S tier. You have to put Mike Smith in the S tier. His career numbers with the Coyotes finishes with a .916 save percentage, .269 goals against average. His best season was in 2012 when they went to the conference final. He had a .930 save percentage, a 2.21 goals against average. The face of the franchise in terms of goalies. He went 128 wins, 132 losses, 41 ties or overtime losses. Loved Mike Smith, even though he had some sour words for the Coyotes when he left. And that's going to be a running theme for the goalies, every player, defensemen, forwards. I'm always going to say there's a caveat. They had some really sour remarks when leaving the organization. Mike Smith wanted to go to a team who could score. He never made it as far as he did with the Phoenix Coyotes or Arizona Coyotes. So Mike Smith, still love him no matter what. Started to fall in love with the team when he was the goalie. There was also Brizgalov in the mix when I started being a fan of the team, but loved him. Solid. He had a couple really just solid seasons. So loved Mike Smith. Then we'll go to Thomas Greiss. Gonna give him a C. Now, my memory is a bit hazy on Greiss. I remember he wanted more play time with the Coyotes, or he was frustrated with the Coyotes and not playing them too much. But in the 2014 season, to close out the season, he played 10 games in a row, I think because Mike Smith was injured, and he went 3-3-4 in those 10 games. The Coyotes were battling for a playoff spot at the time. He failed the task, and after that, didn't re-sign with the organization as Thomas Greiss. Some people have some controversy with him over his helmet designs. Not going to get into that. That's not taken into account in tiering him in C. Then we have Lou Domingue, the offhand catcher goalie. Came in when Mike Smith was injured a lot. Was promising young goalie, and I was starting to really like him. But then there was a season, I believe Rick Tockett's first season, where I believe the Coyotes were up in the game. It might have been Dave Tippett's last season. I'm not sure what it was, but it was like the season opener. They were playing against Anaheim. They were up like 3-0 or 4-0, and then the Coyotes blew the lead, and Louis Domingue couldn't save a beach ball, and then he really just couldn't get it going after that. And he also played a lot when Mike Smith was injured. I think in the 15 and 2016 season, he played about like 30 games straight. I liked him, but going with the F, he had some really bad remarks about the Coyotes when he left. We gave him all the chances he could. He played way too much, way over his head. We gave him, even when he went to other teams after the Coyotes, we gave him the best opportunity to succeed. And I think there was some debacle where we were sending him down to the East Coast Hockey League just to get some reps in and get his game back, because he was playing awful his last season with the Coyotes. And then they didn't want to play him in Tucson because they had some other goalies there. I think it was Aiden Hill at the time. So they wanted him to get playing minutes and not just sit on the bench. And the best spot was the ECHL. He threw a fit. He left the Coyotes, and the rest is history. Then we'll go to Devin Dubnyk. Didn't play too much for the Coyotes, but we resurrected his career. His career was resurrected with the Coyotes. Only played 19 games, went 9-5-2. I think we traded him for a second round pick and then had a flourishing end to his career with Minnesota. I like Dubnyk. It was sad it was such a short stint. I believe this was a tank year for McDavid. So if there was a goalie playing good, you were trading him. I think the Sabres did the exact same. I'm going to give him an A. Wish he stayed with the Coyotes longer, but he performed really well. It was great to see that Dubnyk resurrected his career with the Coyotes. Didn't have any hard feelings, even when he was on Minnesota, playing really well. And it was great that he got a second chance, a second crack in the NHL, and it was due to playing with the Coyotes. Then we go to Anders Lindback, a bit of a forgetful netminder, 19 games played. I should preface, I didn't include goalies or players, defensemen, forwards with under 10 games played. So that's why you don't see like Hunter Miska, Merrick Langhammer, Calvin Pickard, Trutla, Mark Vizentine. Like they played like so little games. I'm not adding players who played so little. So Lindback played the same amount of games as Dubnyk. I don't remember much of him, so going to put him in a C tier. I just remember him being really, really tall. And then that was basically his gimmick in the NHL. After Lindback, going to go with Stanley Cup champion. Oh man, can't believe that. Adin Hill. I thought the Coyotes, like Domingue, gave Hill a lot of opportunities to steal the net. Ronta was always injured. Kemper had that bad injury. Before the COVID pause against Minnesota, Rick Tocchet left them in, and then Kemper got injured right after we got Taylor Hall. Kind of derailed the season from there. Then Kemper also got injured in the shortened 2021 season. Ronta as well. So we had to rely on Adin Hill. And he just wasn't up to the task. He was in our system for so long. Even though his numbers are all right, he had a .909 save percentage, 2.79 goals against average. He just couldn't break through, unlock that gear with the Coyotes. We ended up trading him to San Jose for a second round pick, which was a great trade because San Jose immediately a year later traded him for a fourth round pick to Vegas. And then he played on a well-balanced, well-made team in Vegas and didn't have to do much, just had to play an average goaltending game and won the cup. But for the Coyotes, I'll give him a B. He was all right, but I just wish he was a bit better, and we gave him all the opportunities to be better. After Hill, we'll go with Antti Ranta. Man, imagine Ranta was healthy. Looking at his numbers, .921 save percentage in his career with the Coyotes in 104 games. A .257 goals against average when he was healthy and playing. And this includes like the really bad first year, Rick Tocchet's first year, now winning in the first 12 games, getting blown out every single game it seemed like. But he still manages to leave his Coyotes career with a .921 save percentage. I loved him when he was healthy, but it started to get a bit ridiculous where he was actually getting injured just sitting on the bench as a backup goalie. Like in between periods, they would just come out, yeah, Ranta's injured, there's a new backup on the bench because, someone in the press box had to go dress as a goalie. I'm going to put him in the A tier. He would have been S. If he was more healthy. I loved Ranta. A unique style too. He's not like a big-bodied, solid goalie. More of that athletic style that we don't see too much anymore, even though he is still playing. But I love this style. Just wish he could have been more healthy. Scott Wedgwood, S tier. Just meme. Like what a meme. Like meme magic. The fact that he was on Arizona twice, 2 tenures with the Coyotes. Both times he broke their 11-game winless streak. Rick Tocchet's first year, they acquire him off waivers, wins the 12th game, I believe against Philadelphia, I think, becomes a hero, and does the exact same thing like 4 years later in Andre Tourigny's first season, where they don't win for the first 11 games, 12th game against Seattle, pick them off waivers, first game, they win. You can't write that at all. That's an S tier just for that. After Wedgwood is Kemper. That's another S tier. I think he could rival Mike Smith for one of the best Coyotes goalies we've had in the past decade. Solid, sound. He got injured right after acquiring Taylor Hall and then came back for the bubble, played exceptional against Nashville. They beat the Predators. They go to the playoffs. He stood tall against the Colorado Avalanche. The team didn't in front of him. And yeah, even though the last two games, they were both 7-1 losses, he tried his best. And the Avalanche knew that because they went out and acquired Darcy Kemper for a first-round pick, and they ultimately won the cup after that trade. They knew he was special. They knew he was on a poor team that didn't use him to the best of his abilities and didn't go far with him. So Stanley Cup champion Darcy Kemper, that's an S tier. Then we'll go to Prosvetov. He barely makes a cut. He's only played 13 games for the Coyotes, an 871 save percentage. That's like the lowest on this list. The next highest is Lindback with an 894. That shows how bad Prosvetov's been playing. I know he had those 3 games where he played awesome, but Anders Lindback, 19 games, 894. Prosvetov, 13 games, 871. He's got to step up. I think this is his last year as a Coyote. He lost his number to Sean Durzi. He's no longer number 50. He moved to number 1, like the number 1, not the number 1 goalie. And so, yeah, I think it's his last year. I'll put him in the C tier. Yeah, hopefully he gets it together, but I don't honestly expect it. Then we'll go to Vejmelka, the Milkman, or Veggie. I think I'm going to go with an A tier. I think he's made this Andre Tourigny rebuild really palatable and fun to watch. He's not a sieve. He's not Swiss cheese. There's some games where he is just on another level, stealing games, shutting it down to like a humorous level of how good he plays in certain games. I think we played him way too much in his first season. Now that we got Connor Ingram as a backup, some load management, he'll be playing better. Because if you play him like 4 games in a row or more, he tends to like get off his game and he needs like a long rest. But Vejmelka, really loved him for this rebuild. I'm excited to see how he plays in front of an improved roster this upcoming season. And we'll see from there. Ingram, don't know. We've only known him about like half a season. No, I'm not putting him there. Stop. Okay, I can't move him. He's in B. I couldn't reset it. I'm putting him in the B tier. I like his game. Like I said, we don't know too much about him. Just about half a season, well, a full season, but he split games with Vejmelka. I'm starting to like him a bit better than Vejmelka, but again, I need to see more games from him. I loved his first season with the Coyotes, and he's just got to continue that. I loved how he signed a contract. I believe it's 3 years. I didn't check. It might be 2 or 3 years. I'm excited for him. He was one of the best American Hockey League goaltenders when the Nashville Predators put him on waivers for whatever reason, and the Coyotes picked him up. Played solid last season. I think, this upcoming season with this improved roster, he could steal Vejmelka's starting job and become a bona fide starter in the NHL. I think he's got it in him. He's way more calm, cool, collective. Vejmelka as well, but in terms of just moving around, like their demeanors are the same. Vejmelka's cool as a cucumber, but in terms of their like athleticism and moving around in the net, I feel like Vejmelka moves around a bit too much. Ingram's more sound, solid, and purposeful with his movements. So hopefully he'll go to A or S tier once I do this list in another 10 years. That's it for goalies in the past decade who have played more than 10 games for the Phoenix or Arizona Coyotes. And yeah, love Mike Smith, love Kemper, and hopefully, Ingram or Vejmelka could reach that elite S tier level. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.